Okay, hi. Um, this is the first YouTube video I've made, and I'm actually in the middle of revising for some exams. And I thought a good way to help me study and to consolidate my learning, um, and also to educate you in the process would be to make a YouTube video, make several YouTube videos about what I'm learning. So today I'm learning about different types of business entities. So when I talk about business entities, what I'm really talking about is the corporate structure of a company. Now, let's start off with the most simplistic business entity, and this would be a sole trader. So a sole trader company or business is essentially a one-man company. So for instance, if I'm a plumber and I work on my own. I'm my own boss, and I set up a drunk monk plumbing company. Then that would be a sole trader company. Um, the second type of corporate structure, and one level above the sole trader, is a partnership. And really, these two are very similar. Especially when it comes to legal issues, as I'll allude to in a second. But the reason why I would be interested in creating a partnership, um, as opposed to being a sole trader, is because of the benefits in terms of if there are two or more people involved in the business or partners of the business. This usually means that between us, we have more money to get the company up and running, and also hopefully the partners will have different skills and resources, and we can use those different skill sets to make the partnership company as profitable as possible. Okay, now what is the third and final type of corporate structure? Well, it is the limited liability company. You may have seen the letters Ltd after a company's name, and this is a limited liability company. Or alternatively, you may have seen PLC, which is also a limited liability company. Ltd refers to private companies, whereas PLC refers to public companies, i.e. companies which trade on the stock exchange. Okay, so what is the main differences between uh, a sole trader and partnership? I'm going to put them both in the same group at the moment because they have a lot of similarities. And what is the difference between those two and a limited liability company? Well, a it really comes down to, and the clue is in the name, liability. A limited liability company has limited liability, whereas a sole trader or a partnership has unlimited liability. And what do I mean by that? Well, it really, well, just to take a step back. When you talk about a company, um, usually, well, depending on the type of company, the type of structure of the company, the owners and the business might be entwined together, such as in the case of a sole trader or a partnership, or the owners and the actual business may be separate, such as in the case of a public company, a limited liability company. And why is that important? It's important because if a company um, has a lot of debt which they cannot pay back, in the case of a sole trader or partnership company, um, the actual owner of the company will have to pay back that loan or that debt to the creditors, even if in the business account there is no money to pay. So they will have to reach into their own pockets, into their own personal account, which they may have never, planned on using for the purposes of their business, and use that to pay back their creditors. So there is more risk, I suppose, for the owners of the company in that scenario. Whereas in a limited liability company, um, if the company needs to pay back its creditors and there's not enough money in the actual business account, then the person who loses is not the owners of the company, but rather the creditor which lent money to that limited liability company. So, for instance, let's suppose that I invested £10,000 in Coca-Cola. That makes me an owner of Coca-Cola, a shareholder of Coca-Cola. Let's imagine that this would never happen, but let's imagine that Coca-Cola is is going bankrupt and they have billions of pounds that they cannot pay. Coca-Cola will just file for bankruptcy, and if there's any money remaining which they are supposed to pay the creditors but they can't, then that's the problem of the creditors, not any of the shareholders in Coca-Cola. So the creditor will not come knocking on my door asking me to pay above and beyond the original amount that I invested in Coca-Cola, i.e. the £10,000. I am liable up to that amount and only that amount. So what else? I think that covers most of the basics. Um, Another thing to mention is that in legal terms, a limited liability company is referred to as a single entity. Um, so, just going back to my original point, a sole trader company is not a single entity. It's the owner and the sole trader is a single combined entity. Whereas with a limited liability company, the owner is separate from the business, which is a single entity on its own. Okay, so the business itself uh, pays tax on any profits it makes. Now, in the case of a sole trader or a partnership, the profits which the company makes is not taxed. It may be taxed, but the actual owner will have to pay tax on their own income, and their own income includes the profit from that business. So that's a little bit about sole traders, partnerships, and limited liability companies. I hope that was helpful, and stay tuned for some more interesting videos on random topics that I read about and will share with you guys. So, yeah, take care.